Welcome back, everyone. Let's get into Friday Night Lights. We have 3 college football games coming at you guys live. I will have a breakdown of 2 of these games. Staying away from the Louisville-Boston College game. I don't love that pick, so I'm going to not get into that ACC matchup where we do see the Cardinals there, where I would tell you guys straight up, if it wasn't at 7.5, it's just a bad number for me, but that is a game where I do lean Louisville on the road to take care of the Boston College Eagles. This is something where I think that steam has kind of subsided from the Bill O'Brien, all that craze. Oh, Boston College is going to win the ACC, make the playoffs. Not so fast. Let's get it over and let's move on with ourselves. I think we all know Miami's in firm control of that conference as it stands currently right now. And we'll see what happens as the season plays out. But let's get into the picks. Guys, if you're new to the channel, awesome. Welcome. And please like, comment, and subscribe down below. I'm going to keep this one kind of short and sweet. Just get to the picks, kind of keep it around 8 minutes to get you guys on your way. It's Friday. There's a lot of better stuff you guys can be doing than watching me on YouTube. So appreciate you guys all tuning in. If you do want to join us, make sure you check out the Discord. Check out my page on X as well. And if you want to become a channel member and give back, $9.99 a month down below in the description. We don't charge for picks, but that's what keeps us going. So appreciate all the support to from my channel members out there. Okay. First game we're going to look into is that Boise State UNLV game. Okay. We're going to just rapid fire, just hit you guys with the facts here in this spot. 2 words for you guys: Ashton Jeanty. All right. That is going to be the storyline. If this West Coast time zone, if this wasn't something where, hopefully everybody gets done with high school football and gets home at a reasonable hour, a little sober enough to watch this West Coast matchup, 10:30 Eastern. And I think that it's the only thing that really going to hold back outside of their strength of schedule is in Boise State from Ashton Jeanty riding into the Heisman Trophy award is the fact that Boise does play a lot of later games. And when they do play at a reputable, kind of respectable hour, you don't get to see them on the weekends because you're watching better teams. Now, this is something where I do see a sharper play on the Boise State money line. Minus 164. I'm not going to love with the 3.5 in the market. This game will be played at UNLV. We talk about kind of what Ashton Jeanty's going to be able to do. Here it is, guys. Upwards of, just without even me looking at his props, I can just basically tell you guys blindsided. It's going to be over 2.5 touchdowns, probably at plus money, and you are going to see a number set at probably about 159.5, 169.5. So fully expect upwards of 200 yards. A little less in the receiving category, but I do think he gets into the end zone at least 2+ times. I just have this feeling that he's going to go nuts tonight because when we look at this game at face value, it's a spot where both of these teams know that they're going to have some more eyes on them. Okay, we're at that point in the season. This is kind of fake or real as we get halfway through the season. And I think Boise State now, they smell it, right? They smell it. UNLV smells it a little bit too. 6-1 on the season. Both of these teams are jockeying for position, and there is an outside way that Boise State gets into the first round kind of bye if they potentially could get into that weird kind of way the playoffs are set up. It's a long shot, but we'll see what happens. And we do talk about UNLV. They are not ranked, but they should be. Okay. This is a ranked on ranked matchup. If you go by the numbers, I trust my numbers. And I think this is something where we do get a lot of points in this. You're going to look at kind of the performance against Hawaii. Hawaii can play a little bit of defense, but more so, this is a Boise State team that took Oregon to the wire. I know it's a different Oregon team early on in the season, but I do think that you're going to get a little bit of a kind of a thoroughbred performance by Ashton Jeanty. I think they've kept them in the stables as of recent, and now against UNLV, primetime spot, look for him to run ragged. So if you want to dive into some of the prop markets, like I told you guys, I'm going to be probably a multiple unit play on the Boise State money line. I haven't made my decision on how much I'm going to weight that. I'm just not in love with the 3.5 points. Okay, but Boise at minus 2.5 was a bet that that I loved early on. So I'm not going to give it out of the channel on the channel at 3.5, but Boise minus 2.5 earlier on in the week was one of my best bets. And this is something also where UNLV, though, this is going to be a stiffer defense than we've seen recently for Boise State. You're seeing some of these statistical numbers kind of falter. Boise, you look at kind of common opponents in this spot. We do have kind of what I want to share with you guys, and apologies for not bringing this up on your screen. I will put this right now. New platform that I'm using for this time being. So just bear with me. But we are looking at this game. Where minus 164 Boise on the money line, 3.5 is that number, and 64.5 is the total. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing within the team rankings and kind of how we stack up, because the big question is, how does Boise stack against the defensive numbers for UNLV? Well, the biggest thing that we need to look at is the rushing yards. So they are decently at giving up not a lot of runs, 104.4 per game on average. So this is a better UNLV defense, but they are facing Ashton Jeanty. And if you can look at this Boise State offensive number, second in college football. So for a team in the outside of the service academies that run the triple option, to get into the top 5 in that category, that means you got to know what the hell you're doing when you run the football. So they do have a 289.8 clip. It's going to be kind of strength on strength, the Boise State running offense versus the UNLV running defense. So we'll see what happens. Look for a lot of explosive plays, and we really just need to have Boise State convert a lot of third downs, and then I think they ride off into off the Vegas Strip with a win here. Okay, common opponent I do think is relevant. We look at kind of the spot against Utah State. If you want to look at that as a get right game for both clubs, 60-30 by Boise and 50-34 by UNLV. So by the numbers, this is going to be a coin flip. I just think that Boise State has a better offense. They have a better kind of track record in these games, in my opinion. They have a little bit more motivation. UNLV at home will be interesting. And I think this is a back and forth game where I'm not willing to lay the 3.5. I'd bet it at 2.5, and I am going to take the Boise State money line as my best bet. If you want to get into some of the player props here, obviously you can look into first touchdown scorer with an Ashton Jeanty plus 260. That's going to be a chalky bet, but I hit it last 2 weeks ago, and I might hit it again. I might end up taking it. Okay, and that's kind of where you look at first team touchdown score. Minus 160 would be another best bet for me on FanDuel. First team touchdown score for Boise State. Taking Ashton Jeanty minus 160. Okay, so that's where I'm going to be at within the game behind Boise State and UNLV. If we want to get into the next game on the card, we're going to talk about the Rutgers USC game. Now, USC giving up a lead against Maryland and just having an absolute dreadful kind of performance in that spot. For me, guys, this is a get-right game for USC. A lot of sharper action on Rutgers in terms of the money line, but in the spread. And I can get down with that. I really can. 3-3 against the spread, against the number on the season. USC 2-4. Wow. I mean, this is one of those teams where we saw in week 1 against LSU. They look like they had an NFL defensive line going against that LSU front with all the draft picks and all that stuff. And here they are in the Big Ten. That's where the scheduling really, I think, bit them in the ass. And now we get a 2-4 USC team that is 4-3 against the number. So this, in my opinion, is a get-right game for the Trojans. Personally, this is a big number at 14. It's right where it should be. Rutgers, they give up a ton of pass yards, and USC has been lighting up the scoreboard in that regard. So if I was going to bet this game, all right, and this is kind of my angle and what I'm going to be taking, I don't like to tease college football, but you can get some value taking Rutgers plus like 20, and then you do get take UNLV up. But I think the best money you can spend right now is Boise State and playing some of the touchdown props with Ashton Jeanty. And this is something where we look into this, guys. We look at this Rutgers USC spot. This is going to be where I'm at within the USC matchup. My best bet for this game is going to be not laying the 13.5 would have been the better number, but this is something where they haven't closed any games. So I look for USC first half, probably be my strongest play. We're going to look at that number very quickly. And if you want to find that number right now in the market where USC has been averaging over 30 points, taking USC 34.5 at minus 125, that is my best bet for this game. I know it has not hit. The under has hit 70% of the time. So if you want to go down the odds board, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. You'd have to go into the 29.5 market to get this one close to being a 50-50 proposition. Like I said, USC averaging way more points. We're talking about net yards too. It's just absolutely crazy. 510 conversely. And we do get a Rutgers team that looks to run the football. So there's going to be less clock, but that's going to be an interesting dynamic, seeing how the Rutgers rushing attack goes against the USC defense and the USC pass offense goes against the Rutgers defense. That's kind of the name of the game. Okay. But if we do look at common opponents against Wisconsin, USC handedly took care of business against Wisconsin, 38-21, and we did get a 42-7 win for Wisconsin against Rutgers. So if we look into the common opponents area of this ball game, I think this is a get right spot for USC. I lean towards laying it here, but I think that if we do get that matchup where USC does light it up, I think that we get 35 points. So I would go USC over the team total. Okay. And also, I do like the first half number here. If we look into the first half, Trojans first half points, 17.5. That's plus money for a reason. I'm not in love with that. Okay. But we're going to look into the first half spread as we look at USC minus 5.5. That is a very, very tempting number here. If we take USC in the first half spread, winning by being up a touchdown, that's probably where I would lend towards. I think that they're going to come out strong. Fire back. I do like what Miller Moss does statistically. I think he's actually a little bit underrated. But right now, it's USC defense. They need to keep themselves in the game late. So if I was going to play the side, I'm more inclined to play USC on the first half number here. Albeit I'm not in love with this game. I just think it's a get right spot for USC. And that's kind of how I feel about it. Okay. Also, with these weekday primetime games, we saw some movement last night with Georgia Southern on Old Dominion, and that line movement ended up being a little bit of a pump fake. So always take it with a grain of salt. Personally, that's just kind of how I view it. And you got to look into kind of the narrative where morale, mindset, motivation, and coming off of a good spot is kind of the things I look for in college football, not just a statistical arena where you do get a lot of data from that. So for me, guys, like I said, my best bets: Boise State money line, Boise State, Ashton Jeanty first touchdown minus 160, and we are going to look into kind of the market here with USC and Rutgers favor and lean towards the USC first half number. Probably would play that. I wouldn't go up to 7. I think 7 is minus 129. I'd probably lay it at 6 at minus 156 and lay some juice if I was going to bet it. But like I said, guys, I don't love these numbers. If anything, lay USC, cover the 14. But I just don't really have a good feel on this game because USC should come out firing. They should dominate this game, in my opinion. But I just don't trust enough to play against Rutgers here on a weird little primetime spot where we saw this with Nebraska. And I know Nebraska might be a little bit fugazi, but we saw that one be locked up to the gills. And also another quick little thing about the Rutgers schedule here I want to tell you guys is we saw Rutgers. I believe it was the game. I believe it was the game against Rutgers and I got to pull that up. I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. It was Rutgers and Nebraska was where it was 14-7. That was a win. I believe it was a windy game, but no, the primetime spot, Rutgers and Washington. So we had a little bit of a Pac-12, a pastime Pac-12 kind of data point early on in the season where Rutgers was able to win 21-18. So kind of all the same. That would kind of lean towards a spot where I do like, Rutgers and what they're able to do. Greg Schiano and company, this is kind of set up for a upset spot, but I think that Rutgers has a little bit more injuries going on. It's kind of that weird Friday, kind of not a full day of preparation. And I think that preparing for a USC Lincoln Riley attack is a little bit more difficult. So that's kind of where I'm at. So just, to kind of recap, don't love the Rutgers USC game, but if you had to force me to bet this game, I would lean towards USC first half and USC team total over. All right. So that's where I'm at. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys all like, comment, and subscribe down below. Good luck with your picks, and we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.